Welcome back. Now, at this time of the year, we don't have a government in power. We have the NCF to run things.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
You don't know what he's talking about.
Are you all disputing that? Who run things at Cropover? NCF, and we have a representative of the MCF now. Stephen Brathwaite, good morning.
Good morning, various.
Who's running things right now?
Well, right now, music is running things.
Well, you see,
I like it, Stephen.
All right, and speaking about music, we have to have a nursery, a nurturing area for the music, right?
That is very true.
And that is the
Junior Calypso Monarch competition, yes, and it's in full swing. We're headlong into the semi-finals this weekend, coming on Sunday.
Let's back up a little bit though. How was it been, you know, have you had like an opening, a build-up to
well, we started way back in around Easter with a 1-week workshop, 5 days, intensive work for the kids who were interested. Jennifer Seeley came and did some work with Movement and Stage. Marissa Lindsay, Sir Don did a couple sessions on songwriting. Punka is back with us again, working with the kids as well. And we saw about 40 or 50 kids at the workshop over that 5-day period. Coming out of that, we ended up with our preliminaries, and all going through that and facing the judges in a closed environment, of course. At that point, you don't really want to put them out in front of a crowd and get them all nervous. So it was at the NCF in the dance studio, and we ended up with our semi-finalists, who for the last few weeks have been appearing in the tents. We had 2 very successful tents, one at Alexandra, and the second one was at the Christchurch Bar Centre, standing room only. We actually had to disappoint a few people. Wow. So it's been doing very, very well. I was chatting with Hurricane yesterday morning. So, you know, I think it's about time that we put the juniors up against some of the seasoned performers. Yeah. Well, actually, juniors are very seasoned performers too. We have kids in there that have been at this thing for 6-7 years straight. So they've been doing very, very well, and they're very, very, very serious about what they're doing.
The evidence is there, though, because a number of the juniors have come straight out of the Junior Monarch competition and entered
into the Pickety Crop.
And done very well.
Very well. Case in point would have been Sarua,
yes,
who won the juniors, and the following year was in the finals of the Pickety Crop and placing 4th actually. So, you know, and some other names came through Junior Monarch, and lots of people are not even aware, I should say, that they did that. Coming to mind, Kiyomal and some of those. Yeah.
I remember when Kiyomal used to run things in the Junior Monarch competition.
Yeah.
Came out and ran things in the others. So.
Exactly. You know, sometimes we can get caught in thinking in terms of crossover music in 2 genres, party and social commentary. However, I'm wondering what you feel about the response to the workshops and the success of these young children so far in terms of how they are thinking about the music of the festival. Are they falling somewhere in between? 50 people at a workshop all up in Easter for an event in August, in July, August, speaks to how they feel about it, don't you think?
Yes, they're very, very serious about what they're doing. And interestingly, there were 3 youngsters this year who asked me about soca or party music and its place within the Junior Monarch. And I pointed out to them, you know, the rules don't specifically state that you have to sing social commentary. And further than that, being a social commentary does not stop the song from having a party beat. Yeah. And there have been several of that. This year there's a young lady singing in the semis, and her song is Soca in Me Veins. So the kids are exploring and experimenting with the two sides of the coin, so to speak, 2 sides of the calypso coin. And you know, 4 asked me about it. All 4 entered the competition. All 4 made it to the finals, and 3 of them are singing social commentaries. So they recognize really that the lyrical side, the more intense lyrical side of the competition is where they want to be at this point, you know. And you know, funnily enough, I will say that that the juniors are so serious about what they're doing, and their songs, people complain, these kids are singing songs that are too big for them. They're not. All of these songs this year are relevant to children and the issues that they're seeing. The 8 to 12s are singing slightly younger things, and
we're reflecting on some video as we speak from 2006.
Yes, and you know, the delivery of these kids when they're on stage, it's nowhere near what you would think. People say, "But I had no idea that these children were, were performing at this level," and it is very, very, very high level.
I don't know if I support the chain of thought that says songs can be too big for anyone, because it's all a learning experience, and once for somebody to perform a song properly, they have to at least understand a little bit, at least more than a little bit, what they're singing about. So to me, if you want to teach them things that are happening in the society and have them reflect upon it, why not start?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I think that's where people were going with it, that they really did not understand a lot of what they were singing. But what I've seen, at least in the last 4 years, is that we are shifting towards the point where they do understand what it is that they're singing. An 18-year-old is not going to be expected to sing about quote-unquote juvenile topics, but they're singing about issues that affect them. Right. Not in university, and one of the contestants this year, appearing first in the second half, she's at the University UE School of Continuing Studies. Okay. So she's by no means a small child, and the issues of her song, and she's singing a song called "Respect Your Mother." Okay.
Well, since you're there, let's go through the offerings that you have lined up for this year's Junior Monarch semis.
Well, as usual, we'll split the show into two halves. The first half being the 8 to 12 category, and the second half being the 13 to 18 category. We will have a new Monarch in the 8 to 12 category. Last year's Monarch is now 13. I will not be defending that category. That's Miles.
Is he going to be in the same category with his brother now? Or what is that?
Miles actually has taken a break from the competition, but his brother, Jazz, I don't want to say he's taken up the mantle because that would imply different things, but he is actually in the 8 to 12 category. Okay. So one of the Gittins clan is still going to be there represented. Actually, he opens the batting, so to speak, in the 8 to 12. And there are lots of returning persons in the 8 to 12 category, as well as some newcomers. There's a young gentleman, Renan Hackett, 8 years old. So he's at the minimum age, really, of the category, and made it straight through to the semifinals.
Well, I guess you like to see that too, new people coming in.
Very much so, very much so. There are about 5 or 6 first-timers who have made it to the semifinals, and I suspect that a number of them may very well go as far as to the finals, seeing what they've been doing on stage. In the 13 to 18 category, we have the defending Monarch is coming back, and she will be performing at the finals. She doesn't have to bother with all the other stuff.
It's always good to be
always good to be the queen in this case. And she will be actually facing a former Monarch in AC, who is in the 13 to 18 category again, and it is going to be a battle. I'm telling you, there are lots of seasoned people in that 13 to 18 category, particularly, that will be coming back into the fray again this year. Yeah.
How many of these youngsters do you feel are going to take this straight the way through to picking the crop? It has happened before.
It has happened before.
This crop is, as you say, looking hot, looking progressive, and ready to perform. How many of these do you think are going to have the focus to stay the course straight through to, as we used to say, Waterford bottom?
Well, to tell you the truth, I can see straight off the bat there are maybe 3 or 4 of the 13 to 18s that are approaching the competition with a view to the big yard, as they say. It's a little harder to tell with the 8 to 12s. They're exploring at this point. They're trying to still find their calypso way. But the fact that you stick with something through, even if you're a first timer, you're sticking with this thing since April, and you're still here, and you still look forward to being on stage every time. That says to me you plan to at least see if it will go where you want it to go. You have to be interested in it. And one of the performers in the 13 to 18 category is actually in the St. Leonard's 100 Boys Voice Choir.
Well,
So, I mean,
that does it for me.
he's approaching the thing from a whole different level, you know.
Completely.
From the voice level, and it's very, very clear on stage. I won't tell you who he is. You'll probably hear it in the bio, but when you see the performance on stage, you will know.
Stephen,
He can sing.
I'm a little curious as to the ones that don't exactly make it. Is there anything that you do, the NCF do with them, or is just wait until next year?
Well, we stay in contact with them actually, because we run the Junior Monarch workshop in April, and we try to get back to them in the early part of the year to make sure that they come back to the workshop again, because clearly you may need a little bit more work. But then through the other developmental programs of the NCF, they're encouraged also to try their hand at NIFCA, which is a little bit wider of a musical range. And some come back and try calypso again. Some come back and try other genres of music. But all of them are interested in singing. There's no two questions about that. And through our other programs in the Cultural Development Department and so on, we try to encourage them to stay with it throughout the year. If they decide they're going to give the calypso another shot next year, that's great too.
Okay. You have a solid music background. Do you ever find yourself having to scout for maybe new talent who could bring something to the table for the junior end of the Monarch competition?
I wouldn't say that I find myself having to, but I end up doing it.
Okay.
I am pretty glad to say that Sammy G, who is one of our semi-finalists this year, I was actually performing at a concert, and she was as well. And I immediately saw her. I said, I went to her and said, you should enter the Junior Monarch. Her first year, she wasn't, she wasn't performing as well as I had expected, but she stuck with it. And 3 years later, she's through to semi-finals. She was in the finals last year. So she's doing well.
Just to follow up on Cassandra's question, how much of what you see is just good old stick-to-itiveness and a desire to sing versus that wow factor, that raw talent that grabs you by the throat and says, you have to listen to me because I can sing that well? What's the disparity?
I would say that you will find 2 or 3 that will slap you in your face and say, I'm here, don't even think about it. You will see about 2 or 3 of them out of the program. Mm-hmm. And then I would say maybe about half, you would say, we're in good stead. We're in good stead coming up, because I can see that these kids are going to be moving forward. Others, the rest of them, I would say you can tell, all right, they're trying a thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe not.
It may pass.
It may pass. Yeah.
Well, I guess a good thing about the training workshop is that the potential calypsonians get an opportunity to see that there's a lot to it. It's not, you could sing like a sparrow, but when it comes to calypso, there's a little bit of a difference in the delivery
and the whole phrasing and everything else. And some of them are actually in it because they want to write. And that's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
So give us
writers.
Yeah. So
details
and locations. Yes, on Sunday, July 10th, at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center, the semi-finals come off at 6 p.m. and tickets. Get your tickets early. We've had situations in the past, people have been disappointed, but I say get your tickets. All the NCF box offices are all over the place. You have the NCF Invest Terrace itself, CS Pharmacy in Bridgetown, and you can do it online with iTicket. Let your fingers do a little bit of walking this time, and you can get your tickets. I suggest that we get the tickets early, particularly for the semis, for Sunday. At the keep saying the other word, Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center, the LESC, yes, on Sunday evening. It promises to be a action-packed and a fantastic show.
How many in all?
There are 12 in each category.
Right, okay,
12 in each category. So it's a good solid show. You have everything from soca, straight through to hard-hitting social commentary.
All right, Stephen, thanks a lot for dropping by. And like I said, NCF running things right about now. Junior Monarch semi-finals this Sunday, 6 o'clock, LESC. Get your tickets. Don't turn up thinking it's a big place. we could all fit. Get your tickets first. We'll be back with more on Morning Barbados.